whether you want to believe it or not, kids have changed throughout the years. And so with the ever-changing of our students, we too have to change. And so we kind of just changed our mind frame of how we teach the stuff and how the kids are going to learn it. And that's where the project-based learning comes in, more hands-on approach comes in. And so you're still teaching the same context, you're just teaching it in a different method.
It was just perfect timing to change out some fundamental ideas and thoughts. We had some new staff members that were excited to be here, and they wanted to change some stuff for the better. It was the perfect storm when we asked the staff what they wanted, we asked the kids what they wanted, and so there were several things that were fundamental.
And this is 5, so you would go 5 feet. It's too small. We need this 4.5.
In 2015, the Kansas State Department of Education traveled across the state, convening community conversations made up of family, business, and community partners, as well as educators, to see what they wanted to see in successful high school graduates, and what role K-12 schools should play in developing youth. From this tour, we gathered thousands of responses to help create the Kansans Can School Redesign model. Kansas Redesign focuses on 4 principles: student success skills, community partnerships, real-world application, and personalized learning. Starting with just 7 school districts and 14 schools, Redesign has grown to over 190 schools in 71 districts, doing incredible work. The journey has not been easy, but schools will tell you it has been worth it. Join us as we share 6 of these compelling redesign stories.
Here in Beloit, we have approximately 800 students pre-K through 12. We have 5 to 10% ELL students, 40 to 45% free and reduced, but we have great students. Great education is surrounded by positive relationship building, and I believe that's the foremost key in education, that students learn from teachers and from staff that they like. If you don't like your teacher, you don't learn as well. The secondary piece of that is that I believe our teachers and staff make our learning relevant for students, and there's really no reason for the teaching if that education piece is not relevant. And that even starts in elementary school, of that exploration and making those education pieces relevant, but those relationships positive, because that's the key to it.
So the new buzzword was PBL, and Mr. Dean asked us to actually start a PBL, the 4th grade. And we had been doing projects, but we hadn't been doing true project-based learning experiences. And as an educator, we want to be so overpowering so many times, and the PBLs have allowed us to just let them take ownership, with us being more of the facilitators. It doesn't mean that you totally step back and throw all this material out to them. It doesn't mean that in any terms, but what it does mean is the worksheets and the constant memorization of context is not what is at the forefront of your PBL project.
I feel like that students would sit at their desk, they would do their work, and then they would take their test, and the next day they'd forget it all. But when you have projects, you are excited to go to school the next day to work on your project.
And there are definitely failures throughout the way. We have tears at some points, but then again, you can go back and talk about how we work as a team and that failure is okay.
We're doing a Rube Goldberg project, and I really like that one because we get to work as a team and develop teamwork.
Project-based learning is primarily groups, and so they will come up with a design within their group. And the fun thing as an educator is you can watch their design and know that there's going to need to be some little tweaks that are going to have to go on, but you just step back and let them proceed, and they quickly find out that their design is probably not quite as intricately designed as they thought it was, and so they will fail. And as an educator, you step back again and watch them communicate with each other on their failure. We're so quick as teachers to jump in and fix it for them. And that's what project-based learning has really taught me, is it's okay for them to fail. It's okay for them to figure out what failure feels like and then figure out how to solve that problem.
Our plan is we're gonna crush a pop can with a brick, and first we hit some dominoes, and those hit a car, that sets another car to hit a book, that knocks a bucket that has a brick to crush the pop can. It's intense.
It's very important for them to understand what levers, ramps, pulleys are. But you don't necessarily go ahead and teach that in the beginning. It's when a child needs a ramp that you go, oh, hey guys, by the way, here's this cool, simple machine. Let me tell you about a ramp. And then they can all develop into the ramps and figure out what those are. And when they're doing it hands-on and you talk about those things, it locks in their brain because to them it's important at that.
So with Beloit Junior Senior High School, one thing that stands out about their redesign is it's totally student-centric. They ask the students at Beloit Junior Senior High School about everything. What do you like to learn? How do you like to learn? How do you like the building to look? It's just that culture that they have at Beloit Junior Senior High School where it's completely student-centric, and the adults are the facilitators of that learning.
I would say one of the big differences between today versus 4 years ago, it's the expectation. Before we ask a lot, can we do this, can we do this? Now it's, we're going to do this, how is it going to impact and how is it going to benefit? If a kid can think of it, we're gonna find a way to work it in. And we've had students create their own classes. We've had kids create new jobs, and we have a business in our school now, all student-led, student-driven, student-operated. The adults, we stand back and watch. We're the observers.
Trojan Grounds is a student-run business. It's our coffee shop here in the library at Beloit Junior Senior High School.
So we started the coffee shop in around August of 2018. We had to get our business plan made. We had to get our design for the coffee shop made. We visited coffee shops in several areas of Kansas, and we were able to get drink ideas and specials. So it was kind of just a process of, okay, what do we want to do?
We talked to graphic design students about what they could do. We talked to the wood shop about what they could do. And so there were lots of stakeholders that came in.
Our bar was designed by our wood shop, and they built it and assembled it and brought it down here and installed it. So that we were very thankful to them for that.
We have a local coffee shop called Kettle here in town, and they helped us coming up with a business plan and moving forward there. It was just a group effort. We pulled from everywhere we could, and we made it work. I think the students learned a ton. I think they realized that they had potential they didn't know existed. They have something that they can be extremely proud of. They love it.
The way the library looked before we did our redesign, it was very linear. The school was built in the 1970s, and we had an area for a computer lab, shelving, and took up a lot of the library. So it just made it hard for students to do a multitude of things in the area. We needed more of a student-centered approach for today's students and all the different things that they needed to do in here. So that's kind of what brought about us needing to know we needed to do a change. The reason we set up the library the way we do now is basically because students have different needs. So we have areas where students can take a college class in a specific area. We took a computer lab, and instead of having that all taken up by a lab that's not needed as much because we have Chromebooks, we have pods. So kind of individualized stations that students can work at. And we have media tables that they can sit at and connect their Chromebooks to and work on group presentations and things like that and collaborate. I can have students taking a college class in one part of the library. I can be doing classroom instruction in another part of the library. Some can be reading quietly. It's just, it offers a multifaceted approach for students so that they can use it however they need to use it.
We've added a greenhouse because it has a business and a marketing, but also some ag science in there that we now offer. We've added another ag education teacher because we had such a demand for it. And with that creates all of these new opportunities, whether it be CTE courses or others.
The idea of the greenhouse kind of started in the fall of 2018 when we were talking about redesign objectives and goals for our school, and we just completed our greenhouse a couple weeks ago in the fall of 2020. Recently, in the past few months, students have had the opportunity to design the tables inside, to construct the tables inside. They decided the layout of the greenhouse, and they honestly get to just make all of the management decisions from here on out, and it's their greenhouse, which I think is pretty neat because they take ownership of it. My horticulture class takes on most of the work for the greenhouse, and their plans are in the future to have a bedding sale in the spring, so people in our community can purchase vegetables or bedding flowers and things of that nature. We feel that the greenhouse is going to provide a lot of real-world, applicable situations that students can take forward with them after high school. We really want to broaden our connections among our peers. We're all around each other all day, every day. However, sometimes we don't really collaborate as much as we would like to, so we want to work with other classes. We want to collaborate with the lunchroom and potentially grow vegetables, lettuce, things of that nature. We have a very strong community in Beloit, and we want to be able to create more of a connection with them and allow community specialists to come in and help us with our operations, or just having members of our community come in and purchase at our spring or fall sales will allow us more of an interaction and build that relationship with our community even further.
I truly believe that rural school systems in these small rural communities are the heartbeat of our community. I have had many students who have come to my business and have done different shadowing, whether it's short term. I've had students that have stayed as long as 9 weeks at a time and done different things with marketing and done different things with management and bookkeeping, working with Quicken and different things, just trying to get an overall feel of what the day-to-day operation is, in a business setting.
We wanted to go to the community, but on the flip side, we wanted the community to come here. And so by redesigning our library, by putting in a coffee shop, by making so many physical changes of our building, it's now an open place where before the school was kind of a closed off where, hey, we'll help you if it works out for us. Now it's, what can we do for you? And then in return, what can you do for us? And so our community is very supportive and helpful, whether it's through finances, but also through volunteers and just resources that we share with each other. And one of our big community partners that plays a huge role, I would say, is the hospital. They've opened up, and we have 8 interns last spring at the hospital.
I had a friend last year, and his first day he got to see a twin C-section, which is something that I don't think people outside of small rural communities that work this close with our hospital get to see. And it was also something where I had another friend that was in the same program and was dead set on being a surgeon, walked into her first day of surgery and passed out, could not do blood. So I think it really sets us up for success because we find things that we love and we find things that we're passionate about and we're good at. And maybe a good idea is not a good idea, and then maybe it just really gets us even more excited about our career and future to come.
We want them out there doing those internships, working in the hospitals, working in the clinics. If we want to continue to grow, we got to have students take those jobs and careers as well, and those are high-paying careers, all of them. So those internships play a huge role for us, for our students, and for our community to continue to grow.
Any community business or enterprise that we've approached has been overly receptive. And so whether it's a Sunflower, an AgCo, saying, what do you need technology-wise, welding-wise? So they've helped give us welders. I would say our community has been overly willing to give us what we need if we ask.
I left North Central Kansas to go teach, but I worked really hard to come back to North Central Kansas to raise my family. And that's what we want to see with our students too. We want them to stay, or if they leave, we want them to know that they can come back and be successful.
What I'm most proud of with Beloit is that their redesign has never existed in a silo. Their redesign is really district-wide. They have a really solid plan for how the elements in the elementary school feed into middle school, that feed into high school, that feed into career exploration. And so their redesign is really tightly aligned all the way through so that every student, from their littlest students in their pre-Ks to their seniors in high school, are getting a really consistent, innovative, and robust learning experience.
One of the holes that we found was our STEM and technology program. Individual teachers were doing lots of good stuff in the classrooms, but we didn't have something focused on these high-wage, high-demand, high-tech fields of study. And now we have students that are flying drones around the school. They're producing things on Tinkercad and 3D printing, and they are doing coding video games and making their own video games during class. Those things just weren't here.
We saw the world and how it was changing with technology, and we just felt like these kids needed a jump start at junior high and even all the way down to the grade school. The STEM there started as well. 3D printing, we wanted to really start because there is 3D printing in a lot of job careers nowadays. We use a program called Tinkercad, so the students are learning how to design, and then they also learn how to transfer it to the 3D printer, how to work the 3D printer. We use it all the time in class, so they know that this room is free to use the printers whenever they want, all year long, any project, in any class. Learning that software is a huge component of 3D printing because there are future jobs in that. Learning how to build three-dimensional objects, X, Y, and Z, but also how to create it and problem solve. It doesn't always come out perfect, and that is a part of the process. They have to learn what's going on with the 3D printer, and the company we actually use likes to talk to the kids, and they want them to be the ones to problem solve and find the solution.
We'd go outside and we'd fly drones every day. The kids absolutely loved it. The things that they learned and they were able to teach me was amazing. I mean, we were learning every day on the go, and we're still learning as we go. The career opportunities, just telling them you don't have to be inside. You can take the drones, go inspect things, inspect big buildings, which intrigues them a lot, knowing that they don't possibly have to sit in an office all the time. If they could get a job at drones, it'd excite them a whole lot more.
We started a partnership with Train, the energy company, and Dan was the consultant that we worked with, and he's very hands-on. The kids call him Dan the Man because he's just great.
As we work with school redesign, we're wanting to bring more career awareness, career opportunities into the school. And my role, I literally serve as a bridge between industry and the classroom. If it's energy or technology, by the time it's in a textbook, it's old news. So by serving as an industry partner working with the students, we're able to bring in the latest state-of-the-art, and that's what these students are learning on.
They have provided a lot of opportunities for us. We've got sensors in the buildings that are constantly taking readings, and the kids are monitoring those, and O2 energy consumption. So the energy side of that has been fantastic as a learning tool.
Instead of just having a monthly data reading and at the end of the year you have 12 data points, with a connected building with these sensors, it's 15-minute interval data. So it's virtually live data. The students can pull up and look at energy use in their building, and that's where the engagement comes in, because they can now match up their energy data in their building with their district calendars, and now we can really see what's happening and we can make those career connections. Data analytics is one of our fastest growing industries. It's across all industries. So these students are learning a skill set that is applicable in a number of different areas, again, all industries. 2 years ago, the 8th grade students were looking and they saw an energy spike on December 31st and thought that was kind of odd. I mean, during Christmas break, what was happening? Well, by matching it up with their school calendars, they start looking and, oh, we were hosting a youth basketball tournament that day. We had people in the gym, the building's occupied. It makes sense that there was an increase in energy on what would have been normally break time. When I was in high school, it was just automatically assumed, well, you need to go get a 4-year degree in order to be successful. But there's a lot of great careers out there where industry certifications can open the door to those career opportunities.
We didn't know anything about wind energy or what we were going to do with it last year. And we started, and it's just blown up from there.
So the kids, they have these wind tunnels and they build these turbines, and they go into competition and then they test out their turbines and how many joules they can get in a minute or so.
My 8th grader, when he was in 7th grade, became part of the wind energy project, and they were able to tour different facilities and learn about wind energy and just this whole world that they didn't know existed, and career opportunities that came from that.
Four years ago, when we started, we didn't have a full-time social worker. We had a part-time social worker mostly dedicated to assisting special needs students. So we hired a full-time social worker, Mrs. Eilert. We brought on a formal bullying program, and then we've dedicated a whole classroom as a space for students to regulate, self-regulate. We're not putting social-emotional programming in more importance than our academic programming. What we're wanting to do is elevate those to equal playing fields to where we focus on student needs just as much as we do their academics.
It became apparent that we were just having, it seemed like, more and more behaviors, particularly in our primary grades. And so we felt like we needed to increase our social-emotional programming.
We start every single day at Beloit Elementary School with our morning meetings, and in my particular classroom, kids are greeted in some way, and they greet each other in a positive way, and they really love that. They'll come up with ideas on how to greet each other, whether it's with a noggin or a fist bump. By far the most important thing in their day is that morning meeting, and if for some reason we get interrupted, they always want to finish that morning meeting.
In the morning, they get to share, they get to greet each other, so they work on those communication skills, they work on eye contact, they work on speaking, nicely to somebody, and then we do an activity as well. So that's where, they have to work on teamwork and working together to accomplish a goal. So I feel like that has really, really helped my class.
And all of those basic social skills that we take for granted that people know, we find more and more that children don't know those basic social skills. We have an identified social skill every week. The first thing in the morning, they hear that on the announcement, what the skill of the week is, and each classroom has a morning meeting. Part of that morning meeting consists of talking about the skill of the week. And then we also have a character trait of the month that's also tied into those morning meetings where they talk about what that trait consists of and what it looks like. For as long as we can remember, children are sent to the principal's office for doing something naughty or negative. And so we wanted to take a spin on that and reward the kids that are doing more positive things. We developed a positive office referral program. So basically, if a child is caught doing something extra that's maybe kind to somebody, the teacher sends through a positive office referral, and then when the principal has a moment, they have the child come down and then they call their parent and let their parent know the positive things that they have done, and then they get to put their little office referral slip on this wall of fame that we have.
My daughter Grace seems more calm and safe. When she comes to school, she can meet with Mrs. Eilert, and just that check-in too helped her kind of set her day, that I got somebody in my corner. If she's getting too stimulated or overwhelmed, she can leave and come to a different room and calm down in a great room.
We are so much more of a community just by implementing the social emotional things that we have done. The kids feel wanted, the kids feel like this is a safe community for them to come to. If kids feel safe and they feel trusted and they feel valued, they will learn. And if they don't feel those things, then we have failed as educators.
I don't know why you wouldn't redesign. Why would we not want kids to have the most opportunities? Why wouldn't we want kids to be responsible for their own education? Well, kids don't know what they want because they're young. And what we've found over 4 years is kids know exactly what they want, and sometimes we don't listen to them because they're young. We can always go back, and that's one of our fundamental beliefs here is we're going to try this, this, and this. If it doesn't work, we know what we were doing was adequate. We know what we were doing was okay and worked well enough, but nobody strives to be average. And if they do, then we don't want them working here because we want our kids to excel. And I think every person in education would say the same. You want your kids to be better and to have more opportunities. And so you learn a lot from failing, but you also learn a lot from kids who know what they want and let them run a little bit.
My advice for teachers with all of the new changes, my advice to them would be to not get overwhelmed, to take one thing at a time, because you can't do it all at once. It'd be very hard to do it all at once. But you can slowly change it, and it's still making positive changes towards your goal.
The main goal is to see improvements in students' real lives, and that's why we're all in this, doing this. And so whatever change is needed to bring about that student improvement, that's when you see that the real change take place. It's been blood, sweat, and tears that we've gone through to figure out how to make this change happen. It's not been easy, but the results that we're seeing now were so worth those long hours, those numerous meetings that we had, getting to this point to where when you look back now, you say, wow, that was a tough process to go through, but the results that we have are so worth it, and I couldn't be more proud of our staff, our parents, and our students for where we are now, and I look forward to just keep going in the future and see where we can actually become.